Newcastle United are back in action this Sunday. Can they get it over the line? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Oh, brilliant from Sham. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Schär
All right, folks. I hope you guys are blessed. I hope you guys are all well. Hope you guys are having a great week. Let me know in the chat, please, folks, if you guys can hear me. I know that StreamYard has been playing up lately and they've had some issues. So I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. So I got the mic right next to me. Just let me know in the chat, guys, if you can hear me. Otherwise, it's an incredible show for you tonight. Obviously, we're going to be doing the match preview for the Palace game. Can Newcastle? Thanks for that. Thank you for that, Preach. Good to see you, Preach. Can Newcastle win away? How to win away, essentially, versus Palace? Can we give ourselves a chance to get European qualification this season? We're going to be doing the match preview for the Palace game, who I think are playing at the moment. Last time I checked at halftime, they were 2-0 up and having a great time. So that, but before that, we are going to be doing a transfer. We're going to do a scouting report. Excuse me. Well, transfer slash scouting report on a. I had the real deep research looking at this player today, mainly because he's not the first name that comes up to my list. We're going to speak about him in a moment, but it links to our previous conversation, our previous scouting report on Rico Lewis and the whole idea about Newcastle's evolution and possible style of play. And so it took me into like a lot of depths and talking about this player. And in fact, if my man Preachers is still here, he'll know a lot about this player. And so I'm looking forward to getting his views and opinions. But before we get into it, always a blessing to see people already in the chat way before I started the show. So good to see you, my man Ches. God bless you. Says hi, all. Hope everyone is golden. Absolutely, sir. Hi, Philip. How are you? I hope you're well. I'm living life to the full, sir. Living life to the full. And good to see my man Preach here from Fair Play TV. Preaches. If you guys don't know already, he's got an incredible channel. He's an avid, loyal Liverpool fan, and I also get the privilege of sharing the stage with him on Spurs Kings TV rival show. So please do, if want to hear good football conversation, good football banter, not only get onto Fair Play TV, but do get onto Spurs Kings TV. So I am looking forward to hearing my man's Preacher's view on this player as well, because he'll know a lot about him. Raymond, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Says hi, Toon. Philip, how are you? Derby lost to Sunderland. David Hopkinson relieved Eddie Howe duties and sacked Eddie Howe from Newcastle United. Now from Ray. Ray, you really don't mess around. You get right into it. Jeez Louise. We'll be talking about Eddie throughout the show, so please do keep asking your questions. Raymond says hi to how are you? Is Xavi Alonso appointed as manager of Newcastle United now? What? Is he? I didn't see anything on the news about Xavi Alonso being appointed to Newcastle. You have to send me the link, Ray. I have to see that link, because if that's actually happened, I might have to like scrap everything I'm doing for the show tonight to be able to talk about this, because you're talking like this has happened now. I might be under a rock. There's somebody do let me know, but I literally before I came onto the show, I didn't see anything on X, none of the WhatsApp groups, anything like that. So, folks, do let me know if you hear anything about that, but I haven't had anything. All right. So like I said, this time, usually I like to do match previews first, but because, like I said, I've been looking at this player and doing the scout report literally all day, and it's still on my mind. And there's a lot, and it kind of goes into, like I said, it's going to go into a lot of places today. A lot of places today in terms of the evolution of the team, why this particular player, mainly because, and I'll say it from the beginning, like it's not a player that would be on top of my list. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but we are going to be talking about him. I want to make sure I got everything lined up on my screen. Yes, I do. So without further ado, let's get into. I hope you guys like the thumbnail. So I think I'm loving it. How to win away. And as always, folks, please do continue to like, share, and subscribe. You might hear it in my voice, but the hay fever, well, it was kicking me up the other day, but we're getting some good Benadryl in, and it's helping me. Let's talk about it. It's this man, Harvey Elliot. Harvey Elliot. Now, April the 7th. Now, I know you guys tell me, because I know that there's a lot of varying opinions on Indikalia. Sometimes he says some, or she says, or they say, we don't know how many of them, people suspect it's a group, say a lot of wild things, right? Some of these things come to pass, some of these things don't come to pass, but sometimes they do, and they do collect their receipts. But I have to say, and you guys are going to hear it throughout the show, when he mentioned Harvey Elliot, this is what he says: Newcastle United eyeing up Harvey Elliot. Keep a close eye on this. Now, there's a couple things before we get into him, and you're going to see it in the show as well. You guys, news is news, rumors is rumors. We're gonna hypothesize a little bit and say that some of this stuff is true. Some of you guys would have seen, for instance, that Saeed El Mala has decided to join Brighton instead of Newcastle. There are some rumors to suggest that's because he wanted Newcastle to also buy his brother, which we said, no, we want you. We don't want your brother. Let's see if that actually happens. Let's see if Brighton do get Saeed El Mala over the line, and all of a sudden you also see his brother getting signed. Then that might be a sign that is true. But I mentioned Saeed El Mala because it goes partly towards why, and kind of building the case as to why what Indikaila is saying may be true. There'll be other things, but it's to say that maybe Newcastle have moved them from Saeed El Mala to onto Harvey Elliot instead. And I know some of you folks will say, but Harvey Elliot plays on the right. He does. He's also left-footed, so he can play on the left. But there's also there's also other things to suggest that that he's the alternative to Saeed El Mala as well. It's a very different profile to Saeed El Mala as well. So you're also going to see throughout the show his connection and play with various other Newcastle players, especially for the England under 21s, where he won the championship with Tino Livramento, and Elliot Anderson, where also he played with Rico Lewis, who's also been linked to Newcastle, and they both actually play on the same right-hand side as well. And we know how Eddie loves to not only buy England under 21 players, but to have players who've played together before and have that chemistry, just like Gordon and Ramsey. So you're going to see a lot. You're going to see a lot of those type of connections, and we're going to talk about, because Harvey Elliot is a different profile of player to anything that we've got at the moment, and he offers something different that, for me, signifies already that we have to change the way we play, or maybe a better way of saying it, we're going to have to evolve the way we're going to play and what that is like. And we're going to talk about how that happened in Liverpool, his time at Liverpool. We're going to talk about Florian Wirtz. We're going to talk about a whole lot of other players. I went round the houses because there's an evolution and style of play, not just for Newcastle, but different teams as well. And look, my man Preach even says LFC fans want Elliot back, which is super, super interesting. So, that lets you know that they didn't let go of him that easy. So, in speaking about Indicala, on his own merit, I thought this is, he doesn't. I wouldn't just take what he's saying as gospel necessarily, but there are other areas that I've just mentioned where I think it is not so out of the realm for Newcastle United to be looking at Harvey Elliott. And it got to the point where today, folks, I was even watching, and I encourage you guys, if you got the time, I was watching the England under 21 games on YouTube, especially the qualifiers, where he played alongside Rico Lewis, how that looked. He played alongside Rico Lewis, him on the right side and Rico Lewis right back against Azerbaijan. And then they were both moved to the left side by, I think it's Lee Carsley, the manager, where Rico played as left back and Elliot played as left wing forward. And that chemistry, it seems very interesting that Lee Carsley wanted to preserve that chemistry. And we all know that, partnerships, profiles, chemistry between players is so, so important. And it was very interesting to see for me how they played. And we're gonna talk about that in the show as well. But do let me, as always, folks, I want to know what you guys' first thoughts are, what your initial thinking about is. Have you watched Harvey Elliott play? What's your take on him as well? So just to, we always like to cover our bases. We want to make sure before we get into those players as well that we cover our bases. We say, as can we afford them in the first place? Currently, this is bonuses included. Harvey Elliott, and I'm going to be saying Harvey Barnes. Whenever I say Harvey Barnes today, folks, I'm literally talking about Harvey Elliott, unless I'm actually talking about Harvey Barnes. So Harvey Elliott is on 81,250 pounds per week. This is including bonuses at Liverpool. He's obviously been loaned out to Aston Villa, where there's been some funny business going on, where I think Villa aren't playing him because they can't afford to, because if he plays 10 games for them, they then have to buy him. But we know that Villa aren't really doing the best in terms of PSR, SCR at the moment. I just don't think they can afford him. So they've just kept him on the bench. So he's kind of in the limbo, which again makes sense, where it's an opportunity for Newcastle to be able to essentially strike and see, that window of opportunity for us to be able to strike and see if we can get Mr. Harvey Barnes while he's left in limbo. The other thing I wanted to add actually to our Harvey Barnes, on top of his contract actually while we're here, let me get it on SofaScore, is his playing time, because that's going to be very important. It's going to be very important to him as well. So whilst I've got his contract time, we're covering his bases. I put up the wrong one there. And if Liverpool fans or if Preacher's still here, I'd love to get your take on this as to why this has happened. We're going to talk about it in some depth, though. Let me get it onto this tab. Can you guys see that? Yeah, that's the Gonzalo guy who's been linked to us. But Harvey Barnes hasn't played much football this season whatsoever. Harvey Barnes. Harvey Elliott, especially for, as we mentioned, for Aston Villa. I don't even know, did he play tonight? He's only played 304 minutes tonight, but the previous season he played 24-25 season when Slot came in. I don't think Slot fancied him, 867 minutes. But 23-24 season and 22-23 season, so 2 seasons in a row, he played 2,000 plus minutes, 2,800 minutes, 2,200 minutes on 22-23. So it's a big part of Klopp's plans. And then obviously that's all really changed for him as well. So then he's moved to Aston Villa, where he's currently on loan at. they're in a financial situation and they simply can't afford him. And he's gonna have like 1 year. I think his contract with Liverpool ends in 2027. So really, his contract and his situation at Liverpool is not getting he's not getting game time. Um, Slot is not his biggest fan for whatever reason. Well, we're going to talk about actually what the reason is, and he's available. He wants to play, so he is affordable. We're going to go through the SCR a little bit later on. For us, obviously, certain sacrifices are going to have to be made. Not sacrifice. I think if we don't have to sell, we won't sell. But we've talked about what position we are in this transfer window at the moment. So there's every opportunity that could happen. So there's an opportunity there, and it adds weight to the story from Indicala. Chess says, I've seen just enough to know that I like him. Okay, but I'm watching to hear your take for my own education. Fair play. Let's see. Let me know what you think of it. If you end up not liking him at the end, Chess, I'll be crazy. I'll be funny. Flair Play TV says, Preach says, I believe part of the Aston Villa contract was automatic buy if he plays 10 Premier League games. That's exactly it. And I don't think Villa are in a position to do that financially. And so he's good. I don't know why they did that in the first place, just to get him, just to mess him around like that. But now he's not playing. He's not getting the game time. He's 22 years old. He's had there's going to be now 2 seasons where he's only played 800 minutes or just about 900 minutes, something along those lines. And he's going to have 1 year left on his contract with Liverpool. So there's a big, big opportunity there for Newcastle United to essentially get in there. So again, it adds weight to the Indicala story. Now, injury record. There are 2 big injuries that's happened to him. In the 21-22 season, he missed 141 days, so 30 games. 30 games for Liverpool because of a dislocation fracture of the ankle joint. To me, that sounds like an impact injury, stuff that's happened on the pitch. Flair Play TV will know more than me, but I assume that's why this happened. So rather than him pulling and you're going to see that other injuries, broken foot, again, impact injury to me, 72 days in 23. Oh, lost that. In 23-24 season. I nearly ran out of laptop battery. That was close. But he had a broken foot in the 23-24 season. 72 days he missed. 18 games he missed because of that. And then for the Villa ones, for me personally, I almost don't even count them. He's missed 5 games overall for Villa due to illnesses and muscle injury. But I'm just believing that's because they're not playing him and they've made an excuse. That's just my take on it. So the way I look at his injuries, me personally, even though he's had big injuries where he spent a lot of time out, these are the broken foot, the dislocation, and fracture of the ankle joint. They sound like impact injuries to me, rather than if he had like rows and rows of hamstring injury, and everything else like that. I'll be more concerned rather than that. So otherwise, he's in very good health. And you can see his heat map there at the bottom. In fact, let me just take off the chat just for one moment. I'm going to get to the chats in a moment as well. He plays on the right-hand side of the pitch, and he's a very interesting player. We're going to get into him, like where, on paper at least, you're going to see him play on the right wing. But really, there's a fancy word they call it called the Mazzala, where essentially he's like an inside, not even an inside forward, really. An inside playmaker, or is a wide playmaker who loves to drift out to the right, from the central areas to drift out to the right, which is a bit like what Cole Palmer likes to do. So if you think of him, think of Cole Palmer, think of a little bit of Cherky, more Cole Palmer, because Cole Palmer prefers to drift out to the right. Cherky goes either side. That's what makes him so good, both footed. But that's his thing, to go out to the right, also chop on his left as well. But he's more like he's likes to stay in those final thirds, in those pockets. You can see they're spending a lot of time there as well, and to drift in where he can thread through passes, carry the ball. You're going to see, some of his strengths that he has, as well as talking about his weaknesses, which we know in terms of his physicality. But you're going to see him on the right hand side, but he's not your. He's very different to Elanga, put it that way. He's very different to Elanga and to Gordon, who are big, powerful, athletic, fast, really, really, really fast. Wide forwards, inside forwards, who can run into space. He's more of an intricate, like I said, Cherky type, more Cole Palmer type in terms of the profile of player, the Mazzala, as they say. Starts off in the center and drifts out wide, or comes in from the wide and into the inside areas as well, in the half spaces, kind of linking up play, intricate passes, and everything else. He's also very, very similar to another player we're going to talk about, Florian Wirtz. And you're going to wonder why we're talking about Florian Wirtz, is because it's quite. I went through to understand why Liverpool had that particular evolution, why Harvey Elliott hasn't been around there, and what that could mean for Newcastle and how it works for Newcastle. Anyway, tons of stuff there, but like I said, think of him as a wide playmaker slash inside forward, Cole Palmer type, Pedri type, Cherky type of player, essentially. James says, "Hi mate Phil, good to see you, James. God bless you. I hope you're well. I don't know why I don't get your notification, but here I am. That's so annoying. But I'm happy that you're here, James. Like I'm only hoping that, when I put on the shows and stuff, and I wonder how many people don't get them. Honestly, I don't know how. I wonder how many people don't get them. I might have to start a WhatsApp group. And let you guys know. Plus, you can follow me on X and everything else. But let me know, guys, if you guys are interested, for me to start a WhatsApp group, and I'll let you guys know everything that's happening and everything else. Do let me know. If I get enough people that are interested, I'll do it. Fair Play TV says, poor love from Liverpool for Harvey Elliott. You know what? It's coming across, certainly from Slot. Jurgen Klopp was loving him, but doesn't look like Slot does. It is Harvey Elliott, James. It is Harvey Elliott. It is. Here we go. All right. So, like I said, a Mazzala, fancy way of saying a gentleman, a central player who likes to drift out wide. He's mainly left-footed, likes to cut in, likes to link up play, intricate passes. We're going to look at his metrics and everything else, and how essentially he helped Liverpool tick for those seasons. Now, here's a scouting profile. And the interesting part about this is this scouting profile came from the Total Football Analysis from, I didn't get the author's name. I had him as well, though. Forgive me, guys, but I had the author's name. That's a shame. I forgot the author's name, but the analysis was done, was initially done in 24-25 season when he wasn't playing, and more recently updated. But it goes over the 22-23 season, 23-24 season, where he was playing the most minutes for Liverpool, an equivalent of nearly 5,000 minutes over those 2 years, which is really, really good. He would have been 20, 21 during those periods. And so this is what they say about him and why they're excited about him. So core profile, how they described him as, is a technical orchestrator. Now, again, like I said, it's different to what we've already got. It's different to Elanga, very different to Elanga, very different to Gordon, very different to Harvey Barnes, very, very different to Jacob Murphy. His profile is very, very different to those players. So the technical orchestrator is how they describe him. Elliott is a high-volume creative hub who thrives in the right-sided half spaces of Arne Slot's transitional system. Despite a shorter frame of 170 meters, I don't know what that is, like 5'6", 5'7", I think he is. He uses an exceptionally low center of gravity and eye of the needle passing to act as the prime primary link between midfield and attack. He has evolved from a traditional winger, into a Mazzala, a midfielder who consistently drifts wide to create numerical superiorities. I'm not going to pronounce it. Just essentially to add more numbers than the other opposition, different phases of play. So if if the opposition have got 4 defenders, he makes sure that there's 5 attackers. If they've got 5 defenders, he makes sure that there's 6, essentially. So key scouting attributes: technical security and vision. He possesses elite close control and a high level first touch that allows him to receive under heavy pressure. Right? He is he's statistically one of the team's most threatening passes. That's Liverpool, accumulating high expected threat through incisive through balls. Now I know there's been people on this chat on X who have been begging for a guy who can do this. Well, Harvey Elliot is your man. Half space exploitation. He's a master of finding pockets between defensive lines. He frequently interchanges with the right back Alexander Arnold to confuse markers, using his stronger left foot to cut passes rather than crosses. We know that we do a lot of crosses. We don't really have someone who does those through balls, those cutbacks. Again, Mr. Harvey Elliott is your man for those things. Inverted danger. So signature move involves cutting in from the right wing onto his left foot. This creates immediate uncertainty for defenders, as he can either shoot with a confident ball striking, or slide disguised balls into the penalty area. Now, I have a feeling, I have a theory. Well, he's young still, right? I think even though this is described as a Mazzala, as an inverted or a central player that goes out wide, I wonder if he can evolve, and I think he can possibly evolve into like a more of a number 10. But anyway, continue to say, so pressing intensity. So despite physical limitations, he's a dynamo off the ball. His high energy levels and pressing intensity suit a high tempo front-footed team, frequently leading to high value possession regains. Well, if he can play for Liverpool and their pressing intensity and their high and the heavy metal football under Jurgen Klopp, he can do the high intensity and pressing football at Newcastle United. And this is obviously together with some of the physical limitations as well, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But let me know so far what you guys are thinking. Let me just go to the chat, make sure you guys are what you guys are saying. Again, very, very, very different profile of player. This is why I feel like it adds to what we already to what we have. I don't believe we have a player really like him. So true. Oh goodness, I can't say that. I'm so sorry, Trues. I can't say the full name, but God bless you. First thing that needs happen is how out. How out, so we can keep some of our best players and evolve. In my opinion, okay. Are you? Everybody's just coming on the how out. Well, I think even if we were to get Luis Enrique, I think we're still selling some of those players. I don't think players leaving is, in my opinion, anything to do with Eddie Howe. But God bless you, sir. Good to see you. Hey, Phil. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. So, very different profile of player as well. So, speaking of, playing for a heavy metal team, high intensity team, high regains team, of whichever he was part of, he has limitations. So let's go through the pros and cons of him before kind of give a final verdict in terms of his player profile. So obviously big strengths: creativity, exceptional vision, and killer ball delivery. Versatility: he seamlessly operates as a number 10 or a right winger. You've been begging for a number 10. Eddie Howe says he doesn't do number 10s, but he might do Harvey Elliot, number 10, stroke Mizala, somebody who can play in the middle but also drift out wide. He might do that. Tactical IQ, he's got an elite understanding of spacing and rotations and mentality. Fearless, demands the ball in high stake moments. And playing for Liverpool, and I think if I don't know if Preacher's still there or any Liverpool fans are there, what did he win with you guys? I know he was, playing for Liverpool, he would have been chasing, he would have won the league with you guys. He must have won the league with you guys. He must have won the league with you guys. I'm gonna say he did. I think must have been there when he won the league. Yeah, he was. He would have been chasing titles, winning cup competitions, and so he's even though he's 22, he's got the experience of a veteran player essentially. So, like I said, in conclusion, big strengths there: creativity, versatility, tactical IQ, mentality. Weaknesses, and these are the things that I think counted against him in the slot system. That isn't necessarily. This is why I found it hard at the beginning, because I was thinking it's going to be the same thing for us. So it's going to be interesting to see how we integrate him. But anyway, weaknesses, physicality. He lacks the height or strength for dominant duels. Now, there's only so much weights you can lift, so much, sprint training you can do. We are what we are in this world. If I train today for the next year for a 100-meter race, I would never break the 10-second barrier. I'll struggle to break the 30-second barrier, right? So we are where we are, and he is what he is. And I guess that's what was stuck in my head a lot about, okay, we are more of a high pressing intensity dual winning side. He's not, doesn't lack work rate. If you lack work rate, you don't play for Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool team, full stop. So he's got work rate. But he's limited in his physicality. It's not his fault he's short, right? And it's not his fault that he can't run as fast as others, because you're going to see who Slot got in his stead as well to replace him. So raw pace, which is a weakness, lacks the burst of speed of a traditional winger. He's not Elanga. He's not Gordon. He's not Harvey Barnes. He's not even Jacob Murphy. All those guys are going to beat him in a foot race. Right? So brace yourselves if he comes to Newcastle. If this is, we have to. Well, I'm going to be judging players for what they have, what they are, rather than what they don't have. Defensive impact can be bypassed in physical midfield battles, right? So, if you're coming up a physical team like, i.e., Newcastle United, big Joe Linton, big Bruno Gomes, Jacob Ramsey, Miley, he's not going to win any physical battles with those guys, right? Better if they're on his team, but he's not going to win any physical battles with them. And consistency, another weakness, sometimes struggles to influence games as a starter. Now, that can be age, and experience and everything else, and playing for a big team. It could be any one of those things, but it's not something that is something that he can do something about, to be consistent in those areas, right? His height, his strength, his speed, he can't do anything about that. But consistency, not to fade out of games, that can be changed. So we can work. That's something that can be worked on. So the verdict is a modern playmaker, again, which was a profile that Newcastle do not have, whose value is defined by his technical reliability rather than his physical power. While he faces heavy competition in a star-studded Liverpool squad, his ability to unlock low blocks, and I'm going to repeat that because this is going to be music to some people's ears. His ability to unlock low blocks makes him a vital tactical asset. He remains one of England's most exciting creative talents, destined to be a focal point for an elite side. And obviously, he's just won the Euros for England as well, where I think he was player of the tournament. And also, I think he scored the most goals as well. So he had a fantastic tournament, just like Gordon did. So very, very interesting profile. There's more to come, but let me see if you guys are saying anything at the moment in the chat. I think you are. James says Harvey Elliot. Excuse me. My one issue with him at the moment is Emery not using him enough, and he's not using him because of the contract. He's only had 12 matches this season, and his data has been poor, so I probably wouldn't buy him this season. The only reason they're not using him, James, is because of a contract issue, and Aston Villa cannot afford him. If he plays more than 10 games for Villa, he triggers a release clause. And at the moment, Aston Villa are in a poor financial state. They can't afford him. Not necessarily they haven't got. You know how SCR or FPSR works. They can't afford him because they've reached their financial headroom, and now he's caught in the limbo essentially. True says if we buy Delap, we are messed up in my opinion, and worse if Howe is here, we'll keep Wissa and sell Woltemade, and that would be a disaster. I think it would be the other way around. I'm going to go through those scenarios, but I think Delap could do well at Newcastle, and I think I think we're going to do our best to sell Wissa. He played for Klopp in the 2019-2020 season, so he must have won. He must have won. Yeah, he must have won because he played most minutes in 22-23 and 23-24 as well. So he must have won. Jules says, why did Howe award Murphy a higher wage for having a rubbish season? If it was last season, he had a really good season last season. I don't know if you mean this season. Was he given another contract? Was he given another contract this season? Let me know. Jay, not talking to me. True says, you saw that James is so proud of the. Sorry, to Sarah. Fair play says, just checked. He was part of the squad for the Klopp's UCL's Premier League wins. Wow. So Champions League. So he's been there for Champions League and Premier League. Right. Right now. There's no one in our squad that's got that apart from Trippier, and he's leaving. And he's got that 22, but no minutes. Okay. He got a decent amount of minutes from 21-22 season, Cup and FA Cup double. Yeah. That's when he had, so 22-23 and 23-24 is when he played the most minutes for you guys as well. So he's been in and around that. He's pretty much a veteran in certain areas. You can say like he's had the experience that a lot of veterans haven't had in the game as well. Being in a team that's chasing titles, cup competitions, winning doubles, all of that. And obviously he's won also the European under-21s trophy for England. So he's already a very highly decorated player. So why has it not worked out for him so far at Liverpool? And I think it goes back to the physicality point. I know it goes back to the physicality point because he was very much replaced by Szoboszlai. And Szoboszlai has all the attributes that Elliot doesn't have. It's when it comes to off the ball. He's big. He's athletic. He is strong. He's a powerful runner. He wins his physical duels. His defensive metrics, off the ball metrics, are supreme to Harvey Elliot. Again, and I want to emphasize this. This is not because of Harvey Elliott's work rate. All the scouting reports that I've read so far emphasize this, that his work rate is fine, is phenomenal. He plays for Liverpool. You don't play for Liverpool, especially young Klopp's Liverpool, if you don't have work rate. But his physicality is his physicality, right? He cannot grow any taller. He cannot physically become any stronger or increase his speed. You know, he is what he is. And so the fact that Liverpool evolved from Mr. Harvey Elliott to Szoboszlai tells you what they needed, especially off the ball, when it came to it. So that was a big reason. And so think of that, obviously, when we're thinking him playing for Newcastle. And I'm going to go through the tactics a little bit later in terms of style of play and what Newcastle are going to have to, if you know, when he plays, what our style of play is going to be. And this goes back to the same stuff that we talked about for Rico Lewis. physicality. So both Rico Lewis, which is very, very interesting, both him and Rico Lewis, who both play for the England under-21s, are both about the same height, probably about the same weight, exceptional on the ball, exceptional, and play and have seen for elite teams, Champions Leagues, Cup, chasing titles, winning trophies, exceptional on the ball. But they are what they are physically. They cannot, I think Rico Lewis is a bit faster for sure, but off the ball is difficult for them. Their height is their height. Their physicality is their physicality. It is what it is. So it's interesting that we're going for him. We're not going for we're not going for Szoboszlai's profile. We're going for Harvey Elliot profile for this as well. So I want to see what you guys think of that. Interestingly for Liverpool though, and this goes, and speaking about Newcastle, why are we going for Harvey Elliott, despite those physical limitations? Again, if Flair Play TV is here, I wonder what he thinks of this. After Szoboszlai, and we've spoke about all this about Szoboszlai having the physical attributes, off the ball work. Liverpool. Now, I'm not saying that they're exactly the same profile. There are some distinctions between Florian Wirtz and Harvey Elliott. But, and you guys can see the metrics on the side, we're going to go through it in a moment. They're both very short players. They're not big old 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" Szoboszlai, whatever he is, weighing 80 kg or whatever, winning duels, out-muscling players, engine room, right? They're not those guys. These guys are twinkle toes, exceptional on the ball, I need the passes. I think the distinction between Harvey Elliott and Florian Wirtz, even though they're the same age, is that Harvey Elliott is obviously still thought of as a central player who can play out wide, who could potentially become a number 10. Florian Wirtz is a number 10, right? And one of the world's best at the moment, right? In terms of his number 10. And I think he's also both-footed, and he actually goes across both sides of the pitch. So the heat map that you saw earlier for Harvey Elliott, where it's like just the one side, the right-hand side, with Florian in the half spaces, Florian Wirtz covers both, right? So those are the distinctions. But, and again, going back to Liverpool went from Harvey Elliott to big old Szoboszlai, back down to Florian Wirtz. This is, and I want you to know the context of this, right? These are the metrics for Harvey Elliott and Florian Wirtz. The metrics for Harvey Elliott are taken from his 23-24 season, when he played about 2,800 minutes for Liverpool, and he played 1,500 minutes for them in the Premier League. So these are Premier League stats, right? So Harvey Elliott is in the pink, reddish radar. So I want you to keep that in mind. Florian Wirtz is in the blue, right? Florian Wirtz is in the blue. And these are the stats for Liverpool this season, 25-26 season, right? Under Slot, not under Jurgen Klopp, under Slot. And so far in the league, he's played 2,196 minutes. So nearly like 600, about 500-600 minutes more than Harvey Elliott at this stage already, right? So I want you guys to keep that in mind and the context behind this. As I speak and I'm saying this, is that certainly the shape of the metrics look very, very familiar, very, very similar, right? In terms of what both players do. They're both exceptional with their key passes, right? They're both elite key passes. Key passes are passes that lead to shots on goal, essentially, right? And, Harvey Elliott is in the 99.6 percentile in that 23-24 season. Boy, could we do with a player like that. Florian Wirtz is in the 91 percentile. It's not too bad. He's played more minutes, right? So very, very good from Florian Wirtz. Both are very, very good with progressive passes. What progressive passes means essentially are passes that lead from or from defense to attack, or from one phase of the pitch to the other. So from your final third, perhaps to the next phase of the pitch. So it's not just like it's not just a forward pass. A forward pass is, you're both you're both standing next to each other and you passed it forward, and you're just on the same side of the pitch. It's different. Progressive pass is actually progressing the team as a pass that progresses up the pitch. So that's what they're both excellent at. Progressive passing and key passes. Both Harvey Elliott is in the 85 percentile, whilst Florian Wirtz in the 76 percentile so far this season, right? And Liverpool obviously aren't having the great season at the moment. They're both excellent in carrying the ball, right? So if you look at their individual stats for carrying the ball, if I can find it, minutes, progress. Here we go. Progressive carries. Harvey Elliott in that season, 23-24 season, is in a 97 percentile. So his ability to keep it, he's elite in keeping the ball. Florian Wirtz is in the 81 percentile. I think this will be higher if obviously Liverpool were having a better season, but fine. And again, also, they're very similar in their forward passes. In fact, almost identical in the percentile for their forward passes. And I want to add this, you're not going to see this metric. In fact, Harvey Elliott had improved his metrics from the previous season. So the previous season where he played about 2,100 minutes overall, Harvey Elliott had improved on it the following season, which is always a good sign. What it shows you is that the first season wasn't a fluke, essentially. That he can really be that good. The weaknesses. Both players also share the same weaknesses. And I know that scouting reports and analysts will say to you, and it's not untrue, it is true, that Florian Wirtz is very good at pressing. He is very good at, well, it certainly was in the Bundesliga, maybe not now, at the moment in the Premier League, because the Premier League is just a different kettle of fish. Now, he wins lots of turnovers, high turnovers and everything like that. But if you look at his metrics, Florian Wirtz's metrics for this season, in around, for instance, dual percentage wins, him and Harvey Elliott are almost like identical twins. They both have the same limitations. Harvey Elliott is in the 33 percentile for dual wins. Florian Wirtz, goodness gracious, is in the 8th percentile. Right? Just going back to why you need big old Szoboszlai winning your duels, because both players are not good. Now, Newcastle have got a couple physical monsters, more than a couple physical monsters in the team, but I want to keep this in mind. And this was in my mind when I was thinking about what is Eddie Howe thinking about when he's wanting to get Harvey Elliott. Right? So the physical limitations are there. Like I said, you are what you are. You can only do what you win. And the other physical limitation is in possession one. Jeez Louise. Harvey Elliott is not winning you the possession. If you think it's Harvey Elliott and Florian Wirtz, by the way, they're not Szoboszlai. Right? They're not winning you possession. I should have actually got Szoboszlai's metrics here as well. But they both have, Harvey Elliott is in the 15th percentile for his 23-24 season, and Mr. Wirtz in this season alone is in the 10th percentile. So please, do not ask Mr. Wirtz to win duels for you when he's playing against Joe Linton and Tonali. No. Or Harvey Elliott. Don't ask Elliott and don't ask Wirtz to win you possession. You're gonna lose. You have to get someone else to do that for you, right? But if you want to control games, if you want to unlock defenses, if you want creativity, if you want to link your defense with your midfield and midfield with attack, switch play, linking up with your forwards, Mr. Wirtz and Harvey Elliott are both your man. And the reality is, as I'm talking to you guys, the reality is why Eddie Howe's looking at Harvey Elliot, is in your squad, whether it's in your midfield and in your forward line in particular, right? You need a Harvey Elliot as much as you need a Szoboszlai. You need the guys that can work off the ball, which we have. We have Tonali, we have Bruno Gomes. We'll see how long we have Tonali for. Bruno Gomes, even Joe Willock can do it. Miley is exceptional. We've seen it before. His ability to win possession, his ability to do in physical duels is absolutely exceptional. In fact, I'm going to show their metrics together combined in a moment. So that's what they're for. But when it comes to the creativity, key passes that lead to shots, progressing the play progressing the team from one end of the pitch to the other towards the opposition, carrying the ball, protecting it, making sure. Remember we talked about earlier, again, linking back to Rico Lewis, and we talked about this with Tim. Newcastle have got to figure out a way to control the chaos. We're very good at creating chaos against the opposition, but we can't control the chaos when they do it to us, and we've suffered for it. That's when the likes of your Harvey Elliots, your Rico Lewises, who are exceptional on the ball and are exceptional at controlling the tempo of the game, that's the guys that you need. And like I said, the reality of football is there's no one way to play football. There's no one way to just one type of player that is going to get you, that's going to make you an elite team. You need the Harvey Elliott as much as you need the Szoboszlai, right? And obviously for Newcastle, it'll be a Joe Linton, a Tonali, a physical monsters, physical duel winners. Miley obviously is a bit of both worlds, but off the ball is what we're talking about. And so even when I'm talking to you guys, it actually makes sense why we're looking at a Miley type. And you saw Woltemade there for a minute as well. But before we get to Woltemade, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. And in fact, I also wanted to add to, because I don't know if I got this, because I wanted to show the metrics of because I wanted to emphasize essentially how he would look. Here we go. How that would look in our midfield, for instance. As well. So let me just set that up before I get to the chat as well. So who should I put on? Let me put on Miley. Players who I think are going to stick around maybe. Miley, Bruno. For now, I'll do a Miley, Bruno, and Elliot midfield, for instance, right? So let me share this tab instead. And I'll get to the chat. Oh no, sorry. Where is it? Yeah, I'll take this off, put this on. So this is what I mean. You can't see that. Let me get on it. All right, so this is what I mean. In fact, I swear I had a better. Maybe I need to zoom out a little bit. Fine. So this is what I mean. So this is the radar for. I don't like these colors. They all look the same. It's not going to help you. Let me get another one. Let me show you guys something, what I mean. So an example, how I look at Newcastle. So this is a midfield, and bear in mind that Elliot isn't just he's a forward really, but he's categorized as a midfielder for Data MB. This is a midfield of Elliot, Lewis Miley, and Bruno Gomes. Elliot is in the pink. We know what he's good at: key passes, progressive passes, ball carrying. We know what he's not good at: duel winning, possession wins, forward passes, and the like. We've got Lewis Miley, who's in the light blue. Guess what he's really good at? Duel winning. 96, 95 percentile. Lewis Miley is exceptional at winning duels. He's also in the upper 80 and 90 percentile for forward passes and forward pass percentages, the amount of times he puts the ball forward. Now, so he complements the weaknesses of a of a Harvey Elliot. Not too dissimilar to Bruno Gomes, who we know is more well-rounded, who's also exceptional at progressive passes. He's going to complement the likes of Harvey Elliott. And he's also obviously good at forward passes, winning, well, a little bit less than the winning Jules' season, but we know that he's no slouch. He's getting a bit older, but we know that he's not getting no slouch. But this is what you kind of are looking for. We lack a little bit with this possession winning, but we're not a possession winning type of side. We're a man-to-man pressing type of side. Hence why our possession winning, our physical stats are very high, our dual winning stats are very high, but our possession winning stats are quite low. So essentially, what I'm saying is, like I said, you need a Lewis Miley or a Joe Linton as much as you need that Harvey Elliott or a Florian Wirtz, for instance, as well. And that's how they complement each other and they add to that. We're going to get even more deeper into it. Because like I said, it's almost like both Rico Lewis and now Harvey Elliott, to me, it's not even just about the players when I'm talking about them. It's what I think they might represent in terms of our evolution going forward. So hopefully you guys are picking that up as well. I know you are actually. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Big up my man, Wobo Jog. Good to see you, sir. God bless you. Hey, Phil. Hey, chat. Good to see you, sir. Wobo Jog says, we might sell Wanyeri and Skelly. Man, it's actually depressing, but I know we can't be distracted in the next 7 games. You better focus on those 7 games, my man. Fair Play TV says, very interesting. Don't preach? Don't you think that you as a Liverpool? Did you know that? Did you know that? By the way, Data MB uses the same metrics from Y-Scout, so this is very, very accurate. Very, very accurate. Now, we'll say this, preach that if he was playing in a better Liverpool side, I think some of those stats will be different, but it's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Warbo says, Phil, excuse me. Warbo says, Phil, I don't get how Elliot hasn't been playing more minutes. I think he would have fared better than Wirtz in his current Liverpool team. Warbo, you missed it, but we're talking about his the deal that Aston Villa made with Liverpool is the reason. So I don't know why Villa did this, because they're in financial problems, right? Not cash wise, but PSR, SCR wise, they're over the limits in terms of their wage. So the deal that they made with Liverpool was that if Harvey plays more than 10 games, it triggers an automatic buy, which at this moment in time, they cannot afford. So they've just left him on the bench, and he's in the what do you call it? What's the word they say? Like purgatory. Like he's in the middle of nowhere. He's in no man's land at the moment. So he's suffering the consequences for at the moment. So that's the only reason he's not getting game time. Raymond says, hi, Wanyeri and Harvey Elliott should sign for Newcastle United now from Ray. In fact, let me see Wanyeri's just for the fun of it. Let me see if I can get Wanyeri's stats up on here. Just while I'm talking to you guys. I'm going to take off Bruno, Miley. I'm going to keep, obviously, how do you spell Wanyeri? Is it W-E-N? He might be classed as a forward, though. Is it Wanyeri? Boy, somebody tell me how to spell Wanyeri. Is it N-A? Nah, it's not N-A. Nah. Can't see it. If someone knows a little bit later, I'll look for it. Raymond says, hi, Harvey Elliott and Rico Lewis exceptional lead into that goal. Yeah, it could be something that could happen. I could see it happening, and we're gonna go a little bit deeper into it as well. Good to see Adrian. God bless you, Adrian. Good to see you, sir. All right, so I want to highlight that essentially, like I said, players have got to be able to complement each other. You got to have a Soboslai as well as a Florian Wirtz. You got to have a Joe Linton as well as a Harvey Elliot. And so I think and it has some eerie likeness to Rico Lewis, who we discussed. A similar guy. You got to have a Tino Livramento as well as you got to have a Rico Lewis. Now we might have another player. Obviously, we talked about Palestra, who's the same, very similar profile to Tino. And I don't know. I'm not gonna. I'm just. It's interesting what appears to be developing anyway. If it does develop, is another question. Right. Another reason that I was talking about these two gentlemen and what links us to Newcastle United, or what links them to Newcastle United. And that is Mr. Woltemade. A lot of debate over Mr. Woltemade. Why does he do so well for Germany and not so well for Newcastle at the moment? Hasn't scored in 13, 14 games. Now, Woltemade, and we just looked at the metrics for Florian Wirtz and Elliot, eerily similar, right? What is it? It's literally, and I'm wondering. We've been talking about Woltemade. He's not getting the support. He's not getting players around him, which isn't true, in my opinion, from what you guys have heard me say. But going all the way back to that Inter Kyler post about Harvey Elliot and adding weight to it. Florian Wirtz and Woltemade both play for Germany together, and they have a very good relationship. Florian Wirtz, who plays for Liverpool, at the moment has very eerily similar metrics to Harvey Elliot. Harvey Elliot, Eddie Howe, allegedly, Newcastle are eyeing Harvey Elliot. Florian Wirtz, Woltemade, Harvey Elliot, Woltemade. What is Eddie Howe planning? And we're going to talk about it. It's a tactical evolution, in my opinion. If this story has any weight, any legs to it, any truth to it, this type of link is beginning to make a little bit, for me anyway, as I'm talking to you guys, more and more sense in that type of situation, right? Of what could be happening, where Newcastle could be heading to. And I'm gonna talk about it on the tactics board in a moment as well. The other link, and this goes back to Rico Lewis and England. Under 21s. So, as I mentioned, chemistry. Rico Lewis and Harvey Elliott have a very, very, very good chemistry from playing together for the England under 21, just like Gordon and Ramsey did, obviously a couple of years before that. They're senior players to those two. Eddie Howe is looking at the under 21s a lot. And that's where you see a lot of actually experimentation in terms of partnering different players and different profiles to each other to see what comes out. Interestingly as well, Livramento played there as well and has played with Harvey Elliott too when he's been subbed on or played on for Rico Lewis, which is interesting, right? And guess who else plays for the under-21s? It's Liam Delap. So I just don't think it's conspiracy. It's just about understanding player profiles, right? And why certain stories might make a little bit more sense. Because doesn't it help Harvey Elliott if he goes into a new team, Newcastle United, where he already knows the players that he plays, that he already has some connection, chemistry on the pitch with the players that are there. So if Tino Livramento, for instance, stays at Newcastle, right? They've already played together on the same side of the pitch, on the right-hand side of the pitch together, and they developed that chemistry. And we're going to show you how that chemistry works in a little bit later. Very similar to Rico Williams. The games that I've watched, part of the games that I watched, when they played on the right-hand side together, both Elliot and Mr. Williams, and against France, they were both moved to the left-hand side to play together, which shows you the emphasis they have in terms of how they play together. And I watched those minutes as well. Very interesting. I encourage you guys to look up those games. The 5-1 victory over Azerbaijan and the 5-3 loss to France under 21s. You see both of these gentlemen playing together. And for me, this adds weight on top of everything else that we discussed in terms of that maybe Newcastle are looking at these players, really are. It's not just rumour. But it also adds weight to a tactical evolution of how Newcastle could be playing as well. So all, for me, is makes sense. As I mentioned, Harvey Elliot has played with both Rico Williams and Tino Livramento down that right-hand side. So if you're Eddie Howe, Steve Nixon, the Newcastle recruitment team, if you're wondering, I really like Harvey Elliot, but can he play in our team? We've got Newcastle players, and actually Elliot Anderson as well, who've all played together with him. So there's a real strong connection between Newcastle players and Harvey Elliot. He's not going to be a stranger walking into the Newcastle's team. He won't even be that much of a stranger to our system, high pressing, high intensity system, because he's come from that with Liverpool. And this graph also shows from left to right. From left, it shows Harvey, the heat map for Harvey Elliott, and this is for the heat map for Harvey Elliott, Tino Livramento, and Rico Lewis playing for England. And you can see Harvey Elliott on the left in the orange heat map. Obviously, a lot of heat in that half space on the right-hand side. Tino Livramento, a lot of heat in the opposition half down the right-hand side. Spending a lot of time in the opposition half because he's doing those overlapping runs. And this is Rico Lewis as a right back, by the way, guys. As a right back. Spend a lot of time in the central areas. I think this must have been when they might have been when they played against Azerbaijan. So they had a lot of the ball. But it gives you an idea of the relationships of how they played and how they play. And you see Harvey Elliott tucking in a little bit, allowing for the overlapping runs of Tino Livramento. And it'll be very similar. Rico Williams obviously doesn't do the overlapping runs. He goes through the center. And him and Harvey Elliott will push up, or sometimes they'll interchange, and they'll play centrally and then that frees up the space for the likes of Noni Madueke or Livramento to get into one-on-one situations with the opposition defense. And I think Eddie Howe's looking at this stuff, and he's looking at this stuff as a way of how can we break down low blocks? How can we build chemistry, profiles, have different profiles in different ways to essentially win games? Right. So this is a sign for me to go to the tactics board. While I do that, and then I'll go to the chats as well. So let me know what you guys are thinking so far. I'm really, really, really keen to get you guys' views on this. There is a lot to unpack there. But I found it very, very fascinating. Right. So that's the Tottenham game, the Palace game, but which we will discuss in a moment as well, but just not now. Because I want to. Oh, how do I take Palace off? Select team. I might have to restart it. All right, so let me come off it. Yeah, so because I want to be able to. Oh, you guys can't see that. I thought you guys could see the screen. It's good that check then. All right, let me get my JLA back on. I hope it's saved because I spent time putting that together. And then I'll read the chat as well. So I want to show you how I think this could play out, including with Rico Williams. So I mean Rico Lewis. Let me find it here. JLA, you still haven't changed it to Newcastle United. Come on, guys. All right, so got it on here. So before when I get that on, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat as well. So let me find that. Here we go. Share. All right. Can you guys see that? Yes, brilliant. All right, so let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Ethan Wanyeri. Let me just see that quickly if he's there. Where art thou, Ethan Wanyeri? Can you guys see that? No, you can't. Here we go. All right, so can I find Ethan? Okay, so they don't see him as a midfielder. They must see him as a forward, Wobojog. Where is he? Why is he not coming up? Nwaneri, Nwan. No. No. Let me see. Would he be with the forwards then? Okay, so here's when he was 18. So they see him as a winger, Wobojog. He sees himself as a midfielder. So he's got very different profiles. Excellent dribbler, non-penalty goals, carrying crosses. So he's very different to them. All right, so let me see if I can get this. Let me share my screen. Come on, man. Where are you? Here we go. First of all, let me just see what you guys say in the chat. Contemplate, God bless you. Says Phil, following on from your chat with Bobby the other day, how much do you reckon NUFC have to spend in the summer? Or how much we have to spend? I think we've got. I think what and Bobby actually added to it as well. So Bobby was looking at our accounts, and what he's noticed was that what he said initially is that Newcastle have moved 400 million. What that's for exactly, but obviously just before the transfer window, you can insinuate that it's at least a big portion of it, if not all of it, is for the transfer window. Then another 50 million has been added to that. I don't necessarily think, I mean, Bobby was talking about this, that the whole 400 or 450, whatever it is going to be spent on transfers because SCR wouldn't allow us to. I think SCR would allow us to spend. I think what would end up spending is, I think what we need at the moment is, if in the circumstances that we sell 3-star players, and we sell 3-star players, and for our revenue, and if our revenues projected to be like 390 million for SCR, I think we'll spend about 300 million plus, as well as making possibly 325 million in sales. So that's my take as well. Gonzalez Garcia, what do you think, Phil? We have a link to him now. I haven't seen the real link just yet, but when I get a chance, I'll do some research on him, James. Remind me to do that, yeah? All right, so tactics. Because this all brings it all together, right? From looking at Harvey Elliot at Liverpool, Soberslai, Wirtz, having a similar profile to Wirtz, but then not great off the ball. That's why you got Soberslai in. Then looking at Newcastle, we've got the Soberslai kind of profiles in terms of off the ball, your Joe Lintons, your Brunos, your Tonalis, who I don't know if are going to stay, but fine. But they complement in that way too. How does it? Can you guys see this? Yeah, you can. Right. So, how does this and what kind of bringing all this together? Right. Bringing all this together. What does it all mean? What does it all mean? Just double making sure that you guys can see this. Right. So in my starting lineup, hopefully you guys can see, in my starting lineup, this is like more looking at next season. And we're going to mix things up here, right? I'm making a few assumptions here. I've got Rico Lewis on the bench here. I've got Livramento here for now, but that's just more as an example, right? But my front line has got Gordon, Woltemade, and Harvey Elliot. It could be Barnes if Gordon leaves, right? But I've got Woltemade starting up front. I want you guys to note that. And I've got Harvey Elliot as a right forward. But a very different type, you're going to see in a moment, a very different type of right forward to your Elangas or your Jacob Murphys, right? And I've got a midfield so far of Bruno, Miley, and Ramsey, right? And obviously, Livramento, Chow, Botman, Hall make up the back line. Hopefully, it's not Ramsdale in goal. In fact, I don't expect to be Ramsdale at all. That's there. Now, on paper, what's interesting about this is that on paper, this still looks like traditional Eddie Howe 4-3-3, right? But with how the team play and the kind of flexibility and variation that it could have, is that it could just as easily be a 4-4-2. Sorry guys, my hay fever's kicking in, so bear with me. A 4-4-2 with Gordon and Woltemade. And I'm going to flip the script in a moment as well. For instance, in this type of situation, or like a 4-3-3, typical 4-3-3, 4-4-2. Obviously, how it played as well. So, or a 4-2-3-1 with Gordon, Harvey Elliot, Bruno, for instance, in behind with Ramsey at the back supporting like this type of situation, which is what Woltemade I'm sure would love, and he'll interchange that way as well. So there's different things you can do, especially with a Harvey Elliot, especially who prefers to go on the inside. Now, I wanted to show different ways also. Whether it's a Livramento or a Palestra, who, if Livramento leaves, why a Palestra suits that profile, because they have a very, very similar profile. We talked for folks who don't know Marco Palestra, we talked about him on Tuesday, right? Both love the overlap. So what you have here is Livramento pushing up like this, allowing Harvey Elliot to get into his favorite position in this right half space here, where he can where he's either got the opportunity to turn and shoot, or fake to shoot and do these kind of cut passes, either back to the on-rushing Livramento or to the hopefully box moving Woltemade or Gordon, to kind of unlock defenses like this. And this is what happens every time, for instance, when they play for England, these type of overlaps that kind of happen that allow Harvey Elliott to get in these type of situations. And what also protects us is from the transition. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And I anticipate this as well. I saw a report on this. I see Miley doing more and more of like a Rodri type of role, where he would drop in typically in the back three. It could be anyone because we float, but I think more would be Miley because of his height and his dual winning ability to drop in like this to protect us from getting a caught on the transition. Because we've talked about how Harvey Elliott isn't stopping anybody in the transition. But Chow, Miley, Botman, Ramsey, and Bruno, maybe not even Bruno nowadays, but Bruno more than Harvey Elliott, all have the ability to be able to do that, to stop that from happening. So you got this type of protection in the back, as well as this type of fluidity in the front. Now, there's also an opportunity with the way Harvey Elliott plays is to play him through the middle. So how would that look? And why would someone like Woltemade love this? So again, back five, almost, in protection here. I've got Bruno for now, but it could be, I don't know, it could be Joe Linton, it could be anyone. With Harvey, so it would look like a front three. So it would look like a 4-3-3 with Harvey Elliott in the middle and a Woltemade down the sides here. Where is it? Where have I lost it? So yeah, it would look like a 4-3-3 at the beginning. Livramento, Ramsey, Hall, Gordon, Bruno. And this with the flexibility here, if you can already see the profiles, right? Harvey Elliott through the middle, but what it really turns into is when we're getting to the other to the advanced areas of the pitch, you'll have Harvey Elliott dropping in like this, continuous, obviously overlaps. Not Botman, where is he? Hall from the sides there, and Woltemade taking up a central position. But now what you've got is Harvey Elliott picking up the ball here with a Woltemade, Gordon, Hall, and now Woltemade is in the position where, for instance, he has the support of a Harvey Elliott and a Gordon and players around him, and he doesn't have to necessarily just be the vocal point. Also, what helps is Woltemade, what he loves to do, obviously, is drop in and collect the ball himself. And what with the overlaps that's happening here, what it allows is for him to also pick up the ball in central areas, and to also kind of what it allows us to do is to attack in numbers as well. So Harvey Elliott through the middle allows the likes of Woltemade, Gordon to get into these half spaces and play with obviously Hall. Excuse me, the fullback's been Hall and Livramento holding up these touchlines as well. Harvey Elliott, obviously, with his also with his ball carrying ability and his ability to play incisive passes, also really helps the team. But again, if we get caught in transition, you've got the support of a back five to ensure that we're still protected against those transition. Again, being able to control the chaos. That's the main point for Newcastle. Right. So this is the part where I think it gets even more interesting. If you put Rico Lewis into this, if the tales and the stories are true, what happens if you put Rico Lewis, who prefers to go centrally, right? If Rico Lewis and Harvey Elliot play together for Newcastle United, just how they do for England, what happens? And it's very, very interesting. So let me see it here. Right, good. A number of things happen already, which makes add to the tactical flexibility for Newcastle United. And I think will make a Woltemade a very, very happy man. Now, because Rico Lewis loves to invert like this, because he is a midfielder, he's the midfielder that plays fullback, right? Because he loves to invert like this, and what happens is that he then forms this box midfield as a result of that. Now it can be any shape here, right? So what happened is they'll form the box midfield, Gordon, Harvey Elliott, and this can change around, right? So I'll show you guys vector space. What this allows, this box midfield, typically midfields nowadays have three players. These box midfields obviously allow the team to continuously to have an extra man in the midfield to control to control the possession and to maintain the possession against the three-man midfield. What it also allows is to have a more structured and build a structured attack. So the likes of Woltemade, who isn't necessarily built for transition, now has the opportunity to take up space in different areas, especially in areas that he really loves to be at, right? And pick up those positions. So if you've got a Harvey Elliot here as well, supported on either side, or as he loves to do as well, pick up the ball himself and carry it on for Woltemade and allow others to take up different positions and give that flexibility also helps as well. And what Rico Lewis loves to do as well is add even more the half space here and open up options here. So now you've got Woltemade surrounded by 4 or 5 players, and he's able to pick up the ball himself as well in different areas. If he maybe drops back as well, Harvey Elliott takes up these positions of Gordon, Rico Lewis, Bruno Guimaraes. The back three are still protected by Miley, for instance. You got then a situation where you got a more structured build-up with 5, 6 players all taking up these positions. You know that Rico Lewis has got the ability to hold the ball in the press, and so does obviously Harvey Elliott. And because they're able to do that, it allows the likes of Woltemade to get into positions as well. And there's a structured play, intricate play as well, if you can, and through balls, thread balls, ball carrying as well to disrupt the lines to get in and behind the opposition as well. And this all comes from the fact that Rico Lewis has this ability to be able to invert. And in fact, he also has the ability to obviously pick up the ball from the back four and allow the likes of even Miley to join in the fray as well. With, Harvey Elliott, even open up Harvey Elliott to not just stay on the right-hand side, but pick up the ball on the left, or even Woltemade, like he loves to do for Stuttgart, to pick up the ball on the left, and Harvey Elliott, Gordon, whoever, to take up these positions as well. So I think having players that can control the ball, control the pace of the game, in your Rico Lewis's, in your Harvey Elliott's, it gives Newcastle a lot of control and helps them to control also the chaos in those areas. There's one more area as well that would really, really help. And I think this is why Liam Delap for Newcastle. Liam Delap or someone of his profile makes sense. I'm going to explain it in a moment. Let me see if you guys have got anything in the chat. Apologies for the hay fever, guys. Contemplate says, problem I see is that Eddie Howe has always played this style, unless I'm wrong. Is he able to shift his style of play? I think this is an evolution. And that's a really good question, Contemplate, because I started the show talking about, Indy Kyler linking Newcastle to Harvey Elliot and what that could mean. Because if Eddie Howe goes for, and we spoke before also about Rico Lewis, who's very similar to Harvey Elliott in certain aspects. If Eddie Howe gets a Harvey Elliott is not an Elanga or a Gordon who can boom down the flanks, and we've got that similar style of play. Harvey Elliott, as I mentioned earlier, is more of a central attacking midfielder who likes to go out wide, a Mazzala, right? What it points to me, anyway, if Newcastle are serious about Harvey Elliott and your Rico Lewis's, is an evolution of a style of play, in my opinion. Is an evolution in my style of play, in the style of play. Ches, got to go. Take care, everyone. God bless you, Ches. Hope you're well. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good show, by the way. Thank you, sir. That means a lot. That means a lot coming from you. So yes, if we're serious about players like Harvey Elliott, in answer to your question, contemplate. If we're serious about players like Harvey Elliott, then yes. Now, this is the part where, for me, it got even more interesting, speaking about Liam Delap. Whether you like Liam Delap or not, or at least think of a striker that you like but has a similar profile to Liam Delap, right? So Liam Delap is a traditional throwback kind of number 9 who can also who can be a target man, but can also run down the channels. So he's got that ability about him. And he got me thinking, if Newcastle buy Harvey Elliott and Liam Delap for their front forwards, and Gordon leaves, for instance, hopefully he stays or he's benched. Say he's benched, but if he leaves, he leaves. What that would mean is this: Woltemade takes up the supporting striker role. You can then have a Woltemade and Liam Delap in this kind of supporting striker role, which is a position that he played for Stuttgart, which made him essentially so good in terms of obviously what put his name on the map in terms of him being able to score, not being able to store. What made him essentially made his name as well. So what Liam Delap does, or a profile of a Liam Delap in being a target man, is allow a number of things. And it brings in your Harvey Elliott. Liam Delap, by the way, who played with Harvey Elliott and Rico Lewis for England. Liam Delap opens up a number of things here. What it allows to do, because he can be a vocal point, is allow for the like of Woltemade to take up a more central position here. With Hall, for instance, on the wide side, Miley take up these type of positions, which he really, really loves. And almost like a second striker position, which made him very, very famous at what do you call it? What's that place called? Stuttgart, right? And we start getting into these type of areas. Now, you're not going to see Bruno Guimaraes here. Let me see. Rico Lewis. But Woltemade gets here. I'm trying to get my bearings. What would work here? Either way. Ramsey. Cool. Right, so let me show you. Here we go. Vector space. Woltemade picks up his place here. where he loves to be. Here we go. Between these 5 players, which is not too dissimilar to what they're doing in Germany, actually, as well. 3-man back line. I'm interested to see where Bruno, the third, or whoever the third midfielder is, actually makes more sense for let me start. How did I do this? I got myself. Let me do something. So I've got Chow, Botman, Woltemade, Delap in the front 3, with Elliot. Miley here, Hall here. So guys, I got myself mixed up a little bit. So Woltemade, Liam Delap, and Harvey Elliot, with Bruno, Miley, and Ramsey in the midfield areas here. Now, Woltemade's happy because now you got Liam Delap taking up these type of areas here with battling and having the physicality with the defenders. It allows him to take up these type of central areas here, which he was doing a lot for Stuttgart, with Bruno Guimaraes and or Rico Lewis, but preferably Bruno Guimaraes, warming up this box midfield, for instance. Here we go. Got myself sorted. And then you kind of got the Pentagon of Doom, essentially, where, depending on how you want to do, with a vocal point number 9, obviously with the 2 fullbacks providing that width, pinning the defenders down, Harvey Elliot, and that could be Harvey Elliot, it could be Rico Lewis, either way you want to do it, with Woltemade picking up the ball, Ramsey, Harvey Elliot getting into these half spaces that they love to do, and kind of playing these intricate plays either through the middle and or rotating, which they do for England as well, because they're so good at getting the ball in these half spaces. Now Woltemade has got players. If you're talking about support, he's got 4, 5, 6 players in and around him to get him in these situations. Like, because he's so good, so tall, and good on the ball, he's going to have options around him, the likes of Ramsey, Liam Delap. If he gets the ball over to Liam Delap, he creates space just by himself in terms of the physicality, and allows the likes of what do you call it? Allows the likes of Woltemade to get into the spaces in behind him, and Ramsey to create those type of spaces as well as Rico Lewis, who gets into these spaces as well. Harvey Elliot coming in on the side as well. So it allows for a more controlled build-up. And again, there is obviously a little bit of risk, but if again Newcastle getting caught in the transition, you've got Miley, Chow, and or Botman, or Miley through the middle, Botman through here, Botman in the middle, Miley on the other sides to control these flanks. So even if you get caught in a transition, you got Miley and Chow on the sides, Botman in the middle, or obviously you can have Miley swap with Rico Lewis, Rico on the right, on the left, like this. But it allows for this type of fluidity. It allows the likes of Harvey Elliott to form with Delap doing what he does best, which is be a target man and control the central areas, and allows for the likes of Harvey Elliott to get into the half spaces, Woltemade to be the second striker, and all the pressure in terms of Liam Delap and holding up the ball. Hall can even add with the overlapping runs. Ramsey maybe can go out to the sides as well, and it allows for these type of variations. So all these mixed profiles, and having the likes of Harvey Elliott, who can play in these central areas, who has a relationship also with Rico Lewis from their days of playing together, and with Liam Delap. All these type of relationships can start forming, and then where teams can start forming as well, and it allows us to control games a lot better. With Woltemade now able to kind of be in his favoured position, picking up the ball in the half spaces, choosing to either drive with it or slip in the likes of Liam Delap. Have support from your Rico Lewis's, your Harvey Elliots, who love to be in the center as well, to control the half spaces in those areas as well, and gives options to the likes of Liam Delap to make clever runs where he can. So I think this all makes sense. And it makes it very, very exciting for me. It's quite different to what we've experienced before. So I think there's a big opportunity there, having all those players. But let me know what you guys think. And again, I apologize, but this hay fever is beginning to kick me up. So let me know what you guys think. But I think they can all play together. And I think it shows an evolution in style where you can still have your traditional number 9 in the Liam Delap, your not so traditional right wing forward in Harvey Elliot, because even Harvey Elliot can take up these central positions because of his ability to control the ball, and Liam Delap can hit the channels with Woltemade in support and everything else. So I think I think, I'm hoping that some of these stories are true, essentially. But yeah. Oh, sorry guys. Goodness gracious. Let me know your thoughts before we talk about a little bit about Palace game. Now, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Where is it? James says, let me get some water. Oh, sorry, folks. I might have to take some more tablets. Jeez. Oof. Yeah, so I think Harvey Elliot, someone of the profile of Rico Lewis, makes a lot of sense for Newcastle. So James says, personally, I still don't want Delap, and I hope Loss is looking for someone better like a Garcia or someone else. As long as he can hold up the ball and is a target man, he makes a very, very good partner for Woltemade. And that's what we've got to think about, because Woltemade doesn't want to be a target man. So he needs a striker who does. And Liam Delap really loves being a target man. Robojog says, Phil, all that tactical say, Elliot is meant to play more central, especially that he has a very good final ball. Even at Liverpool, we used to accommodate other players around him, i.e. go wide by instructions. Yeah, so we talked about that, because it happens for England as well. If you get a chance, Robojog, I recommend watching the England under-21s. When you had the likes of Livramento, for instance, bombing that. Where is it? I've got too many players here. So you'd have Harvey Elliot here, because where is he? So Harvey Elliot loves this point. Let me take this off. Harvey Elliot loves this particular spot here. Right? Harvey Elliot loves this particular area here. This half space, right? And then you have the likes of Livramento bombing down the flanks and allowing him to squeeze in like this. But the best relationship they had was with Rico Lewis. And what Rico Lewis added was that flexibility for England, because he was so central. So he would invert like this. And what would happen is, or a number of things would happen. Either Harvey Elliott's got the opportunity to go out a little bit to the side here and allow a box midfield to form up around him in these type of situations, or you got a variation in terms of what their play is, or he joins in with Rico Lewis as well. What Rico Lewis added was a little bit more, or Rico Lewis, depending on how much possession and control they have, is even kind of add himself more of as a target man, just to pin the defenders back And it allows Harvey Elliot to spend time in these central areas, right? Well, you're right. I'm not saying, so I was saying it earlier, you might not call it a wobble jog. Even though Harvey Elliott is for playing for Liverpool, his heat map, there's a lot of heat here on the flanks here, but it's more here. Harvey Elliott isn't Elanga. He's not Gordon. He's not going to be bombing down these flanks here. He will prefer to be in these spaces, but he is a central player who loves to drift out wide, just like a Cole Palmer. Now, because he likes to drift out wide, and this does it for different reasons, the likes of Rico Lewis are able to pick up these spaces here and support your forwards and your players here, and that's how they're able to provide these overloads. The other reasons that Harvey Elliott likes to go on the sides here is because he's left-footed. It allows him to get into these positions where defenders don't know whether he's gonna either A, shoot, or B, do these cutbacks or these through balls to on Russian forwards. So that's the part of the reasons why Harvey Elliott, you see heat map him spending here. So I'm not saying Harvey Elliott does it in the Langer, Gordon type of role where he's running up and down these flanks. It's never going to work. What I'm saying is that Harvey Elliott opens up a different opportunity for Newcastle in the way he plays, in terms of either being able to play in the pocket or his ability to drift out wide and involve the likes of Rico Lewis as he did for England, or the likes of Miley or whoever comes in these pockets, Bruno Gomes, for instance, because Rico Lewis can still stay here or stay here with Miley joining in with Bruno Gomes, which is probably the most likely. And they had Liam Delap playing, who was the vocal point, and he kind of threaded everything together. So Newcastle don't have any profile, any player like a Harvey Elliott. So that's what I was saying. Ooh. I'm trying to find my screen. Where are you? Okay, cool. What's the next one? Contemplate says, so this transition is because most teams no longer attack us but sit back. Yes. There was a stat on that in terms of Newcastle. I think Newcastle are the top 5 teams that face low blocks. In fact, I'm going to say Newcastle are third who face the most low blocks. But sit back and let us have the ball. And in that situation, like City, etc., you need technical players to break this down. Yes, exactly it. You got it. You got it. Between Rico Lewis, for instance, and Harvey Elliott, you got a lot of control. And what it allows also the likes of Woltemade and Liam Delap, and this is very important. It's very, very important. Woltemade does not want to be a vocal point. He doesn't want to be a physical beast or animals holding up the defenders. Oh, but Liam Delap does. Right? Harvey Elliott and the likes of Rico Lewis, who have this ability, who are midfielders essentially, allow Newcastle to create organized chaos because of their ability to recycle the ball. They know how to control games and how to keep the tempo of those games as well. So now you could have a situation where you have a Harvey Elliott, Lewis Miley, Bruno Gomes, Rico Lewis, Woltemade dropping in deep, for instance. And you've got a situation now where you've got control. And Harvey Elliott's ability, not just Harvey actually, Woltemade, Bruno, Miley, now you've got the ability to thread passes through. Now you've got players that have ability to thread passes through. Harvey Elliott's key passing stats, his are phenomenal. His progressive passing is very, very good as well. Is elite, really. So yes, that's exactly it. Contemplate. That's exactly it. Excuse me. Contemplate says, I just worry that for Eddie, who has not played this way at all, it will be difficult for him to transition. Why I don't think that's true is he gets so much stick, but he has evolved the team a number of times. He did it last year. We had to be extra practical, and he went on 9 game winning streak. Right? Remember, he was supposed to get last summer, João Pedro and Trafford, a ball playing goalkeeper, and a player in João Pedro who can be a number 10 strokes and a striker, doing the role that Woltemade is doing. So he was always meant to try and do this, but circumstances wouldn't allow. So I think this is the type of stuff he's trying to do, trying to achieve, in my opinion. If this is true, obviously. But we're just feel if you get Rico and Elliot and somehow keep Tonali, you might play very base possession style because these are really good profiles for it, in my opinion. Shame if you don't play that way if you get them. I think we will play that way. We can't play it. We cannot, and I agree with you, Wilbur Jog. So we cannot buy Harvey Elliot to make him play like Elanga. We're not stupid. We've got a very good transfer record. We're not buying Harvey Elliott for that. I'm not so worried about losing Tonali because I think Wilbur Jog, and I think you're going to like this. I think Miley's going to be our Rodri. I think Miley's going to be our Rodri. And guess who's played a lot of his time next to Rodri? Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis knows how to keep control and keep and create tempo. Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis would invert as a right back and play next to Rodri. When if the transition happens, you see Miley or you see Rodri dropping in like this, allowing the fullbacks to expand. When it's time to attack, Rico Lewis inverts or take possession, inverts of your Mileys, Rodri, creating this either box defense, allows or midfields, allows for the likes of Woltemade, Liam Delap to hold the play, Harvey Elliot playing here or wherever with Hall holding up the flanks, for instance. All these things are possible in playing like this. Or Bruno Gomes drops in, Rico goes out wide, Harvey Elliott takes up the space that he loves in the space here next to Woltemade. And you know what it says between all of them? Bruno, Miley, Woltemade, Harvey, Rico Lewis, even Delap. Control, 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 control. I don't think Tonali's essential. Like, he's great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying that I think we can get a player. He can be replaced essentially. Wilbur says also want Rico a midfielder. He describes himself as a midfielder, but he's willing to play. He said it himself, and I had to read his quote because when I'm doing research, I love to always see what the players say about themselves because I want to know what they think about themselves when they go onto the pitch. And say, I'm a midfielder, but I'll play anywhere. So essentially, we can even have a number 6 in Rico to a certain degree and have Miley advance. The whole point is rotation. And he plays right back for England, right next to Harvey. Midfield and academy had moved to a fullback due to need of Skelly and O'Reilly and Miley. Also, want Rico midfield and academy moved back to fullback due to Skelly and O'Reilly and Miley. Yeah. Exactly, but he's very, very good. And playing next to Rodri, I think he learned a thing or two. Contemplate says, so is it more an issue with the style of player rather than the ability of the manager to do you think? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely contemplate. I think it's to do more with the style of play and the profile of player because Elanga's not Rico. Or Elanga's not Harvey Elliot, excuse me. Keep Rico, take off Elliot. Elanga doesn't want to be here. He hasn't got the same, ability as the rest of them do. He wants to be here on the outside to use his pace and get as much space as possible. And he still can, right? So it's just different profiles, really. It's telling the fact that we wanted Trafford, João Pedro, Ekatike, Sheshko, all the banters that we got for the players that we missed out. It lets you, it gives a good indicator of what Newcastle were trying to achieve, but didn't get to. Speak of Crystal Palace match on Sunday. There's a chance we might need to see Bruno yet, but Miley, and is a definite that he looks a lot more about his normal self. Yeah, in about 2-3 minutes, I'm going to get into it. Thanks for the reminder, James. I'm actually going to do a match preview today. You're right, James. I'm supposed to do a match preview today. But this is what I was saying to you guys when I was doing the research on Elliot and then tying it into Rico Lewis. And I'm like, are we trying to do something here? I think we are. James says, main, because I haven't seen him play with the actual squad yet in the videos, unless they hide them. Oh, Miley. Yeah. We'll see. I hope he plays. What would Jokes feel? I don't know how possible it is, but it's 10 times better to have a Krupi instead of a Delap alongside Woltemade. The reason I disagree is because Woltemade played next to Undav for Stuttgart, and he played almost like a second striker. Woltemade doesn't want to wrestle and fight and be physical with defenders, but Delap does. So you got like a two different profile of, but then Delap doesn't want to waste time having to link up play. He wants to run in the channels. He wants to be the vocal point. So you've got two strikers who complement each other. So I think that's why it works. Krupi doesn't have, he's not a target man, in my opinion. Excellent finisher, he's not a target man. Fair Play says, are you happy with your squad depth and feel it's just about replacing players, or do you want to add players into the mix? Question for the chat too. Great question. So no, I'm not happy with the squad depth. We have a very small squad in terms of depth and quality. This summer window is going to be about replacing players, is going to be about and trying to add to the squad at the same time. And that's going to be a very careful balancing act because, we're going to lose either 2 or 3 players, Gordon, Livramento, Tonali. So you've got to replace them anyway, and then try and find a way to move the team forward. And I think from what I'm seeing, we're moving into that direction. But we need more. We need more. Oh, Bruno. Yeah, I saw him in the videos a little bit. Right. So I was going to show you. I was going to talk about the finances a bit, but we're running out of time. So let me go into the Crystal Palace game, and I didn't do as much research for the for the Crystal Palace game. But let's just see what the forms are of the teams, and we'll do a tactical breakdown. Should I go Fop Mob for it? All right, let's go to Fop Mob. Let me see if you guys can see that. All right, you can. Right, so Newcastle United. Newcastle. Right, so you guys let me know this, right? Because I'll wait for this. I was going to start talking about form, and I will mention form. But it's been 3 weeks since Newcastle played. For me personally, guys, I think form is going to have a very limited impact on Newcastle. Obviously, Palace play today, so we'll see their game in a moment. But the last 5 games, we've won 2, lost 3. Right? We've got 42 points. We've scored 44 goals and conceded 45. We're on a -1 goal difference. We've won 12 games, drawn 6, and lost 13. We've had international players back now, really, for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 days. On top of that, the squad. Eddie Howe has had, in my estimations, around 8 to 9 days with near enough the full squad to remind them what he wants them to do, how he wants them to play. There's a reason why you're going to see in my starting lineup, Woltemade is starting. And I haven't been starting him for a long time because I believe Eddie Howe's got his hands around him and explained to him what he wants to do. My hope is Woltemade didn't listen to Nagelsmann, who's acting like there's nothing wrong. There's something wrong. And Eddie Howe's going to teach Woltemade how to become a proper number 9. So for me, it's difficult to say, but we play like this. It's been 3 weeks. But this is the state of play. We're 7 points behind Liverpool, who did play against PSG. 6 points behind Chelsea. Obviously, this is European places. And we are 4 points behind Brentford, who are in the Conference League. And I think there's an expectations, and understandably so, from the owners to say, you got to at least catch Brentford. You got to at least catch Brentford and secure that 7th spot. Palace are 14th with 39 points. They've got a -2 goal difference. They've scored 33 goals to 32 and conceded 35. So they don't score a lot of goals, which is surprising because they've got Mateta and now Larson, but it is what it is. But they don't concede a lot of goals either. They concede less than us. So defensively, they're quite good. So the stakes are high. The stakes are high for us. Palace, how did they do today? So Palace beat Fiorentina today, 3-0. What's today? Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they've had 3 days to recover. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? They'll have less ring rust than us. Or could they be tired? That goes into it. But Ishmael Sarr scored, Tyreek Mitchell scored, and Jean-Philippe Mateta scored. So in Europe, they're having fun scoring goals and not conceding. Sarr, Mateta, Gusson, Mitchell, Kamada, Wharton, Muniz all played. Richards, Lacroix, Camvoy. So that's their team, I think. and I think they're likely to play against us as well. Brennan Johnson's on the bench, Lerma's on the bench, Pino's on the bench, Will Hughes on the bench. So yeah, they're in good. I can say Palace are in good form. It's difficult to know where we're at, so it's going to be, Palace will have the ring rust, but they also are they going to be tired? I think they played at Fiorentina, right? Or did they play at Selhurst? No, they played at Selhurst. They were at home. At least they were at home. To be fair to them, so you guys let me know. How does that play into our hands? Does it not? I'm keen to know your thoughts. So let's get to the tactics table. I'll go to the chats in a moment as well. Where is it? No, not this. All right, so let me get this off. Where are you? Here we go. So let me know, guys. Send in your score predictions and send in your lineups. I'll be really keen to hear your lineups. Where's Palace? I'll be really keen to hear your lineups. Here we go. Okay, so it's the team that played today, literally, for Palace. They love that 3-4-3. Oh, you can't see. Sorry. Here we go. Now I'm going to choose my lineup and I'm going to get to you guys and see what you guys are saying. This is our last lineup. So Rico Lewis now plays for Newcastle. Shah's fit as well, actually. Shah's fit, Tonali's fit. Wissa, we don't know. We have no clue what Wissa's doing. Livramento's fit. Lewis Miley's supposed to be fit as well. So I've got in my back line, I've got Ramsdale to stay in goal. I've got Livramento starting over Trippier. Though I do wonder if Eddie Howe keeps Trippier. So I've got our best backline of Livramento, Chow, Botman, and Hall. I'm going to go for it and say Ramsey stays over Joe Linton, even though I know he loves Joe Linton. Tonali. He's going to be too tempted to. He wants to band back together, isn't he? He's going to want Bruno, Joe Linton, and Tonali. I can smell it. I think he should have Miley and Ramsey, but it's going to be too much for him to. He's not going to. He wants to band back together. I know he does. Tonali, Bruno. I think he really should have Miley. I really think he should have Miley. Yeah. I'm going to choose the team that I think Eddie Howe will put out, but I will say who I think he should play as well. Let me know who you guys think should be starting. Where's Joe Linton? Oh, here we go. Yeah, he's going to find it too hard to not play these three. His best midfield and his best defense. I think Woltemade starts. I think Golden goes to the left, and I think Elanga goes to the right. What I would have preferred in the midfield is, especially if they're fit and they're ready, is Miley over Tonali. Um, I'll stick with Joe Linton for now, but I do think that Ramsey, especially on that small pitch, you need control. I think Ramsey provides that control and that ability on the ball a lot more. I think Palace know how to make that pitch small, especially with the way they're so compact. That 3-4-3 with the way they like to play. The two fullbacks, Munoz, Mitchell will drop in, and it turns into a, well, it depends how they want to do it. It can be a 5-2-3. So they've got the double pivot, which allows them to attack very, very quickly when they need to. Or if they really want to like clamp down in a 5-4-1, with Ismail Sarr kind of being the power runner, to help break free if you're attacking. So there's the kind of the concern there. Palace are going to take up this mid block, which they're really good at. Where is it? Okay, so Munoz is going to be key, trying to, if you look at the individual stuff, so where's Lacroix, Calvert, Mitchell is going to be going up there, trying to get Gooson in with Mateta. Munoz on the right-hand side, booming down the flanks as well to allow Sarin to have that powerful runs there as well. So Hall has to be very, very careful. And again, Gordon has to be help make sure that he's not overrun. I think Joe Linton does a good job there. And maybe this is why Joe Linton plays over Ramsey. Is this run here from Sarr. And that way, the likes of Botman can focus a little bit more on Mateta. Because if Joe Linton doesn't watch that run and it's just Sarr, you're going to force Botman to drag out wide, Chow to be dragged out wide, and he's going to start creating spaces in the back here, and it's going to cause all sorts of problems. So, what also Joe Linton does allow to do is Gordon will also have to come back and defend, but a little bit less. You still want to be able to have a threat. So you're going to have Sarr. You're going to have Munoz trying to charge up here. He has to be careful, but he will charge up here. They'll shift the defense, Lacroix, Canvot like this to watch for the run. Richards isn't no slow coach, but Joe Linton has to be there to watch these runs from Sarr, which allows Botman to focus on Mateta, Chow to focus on any oncoming runs. Obviously, Tonali will be around, with Livramento hopefully not falling asleep, looking at the runs from Mitchell and down the sides here, right? But Palace aren't foolish. They'll be balanced in how they attack, and they'll choose when and where how they attack. But when Munoz does get up his flank here, it does give Newcastle an opportunity to break quickly and as quickly as possible up the other way. And obviously, we're looking for those type of opportunities as well. So these matchups with what's that? Here we go. Gordon and Richards in these type of situations are going to be important. Now, Woltemade doesn't have the pace. We know this. And that's part of the situation here. So if we're in these type of transition situations, it's going to be very interesting how we come out of it. And it might have to be a lot more, unless you got the likes of Elanga kind of breaking his run. Tonali trying to get up there is difficult. And that's where you can get a little bit bogged down. That's the concern. But I do think Woltemade starts. I think the key won't be in the transitions in this game. Now that I'm looking at it, though they are going to be important. I think the key is going to be in the midfield. I think, and it's always tough between both teams. I think Newcastle obviously have to watch out for Mateta. I think, well, Sarr as well. Joe Linton and Sarr is going to be a key battle. Munoz Hall is going to be a key battle. And Mateta and Botman. Munoz, if he's clever, isn't always going to try and beat Hall down the flanks. He might just try and get the ball in early to Mateta and see how Botman does against Mateta in the air. So this type of matchup is going to be absolutely crucial. Livramento has to be alive to the threat of Guson and Chow and others. So those are going to be kind of really, really key aspects for us in those type of situations. But with the way Palace sets up, and maybe one of the drawbacks of having Woltemade through the middle, is going to be difficult to break. Unless we break, but we carry the ball more. We're not going to be able to, unless the opportunity arises, these type of balls just straight up like that, I don't think is going to be healthy. Like, it's not going to make sense. Gordon goes up there, it's got 3-4 players around him. But if the likes of Hall get on the ball, we know he's excellent carrier. If, for instance, the likes of Muniz has already committed himself, Hall's got the ability to drag the ball up, which allows the likes of Joe Linton to support Gordon to get up there. Elanga's obviously on his bike. Bruno getting into more advanced positions with Tonali and others following. And then I think it's going to be a more what do you call it? You're going to have more men forward to be able to cause damage. I also wonder is if Woltemade does start, even in these type of situations when we drop in, whether he drops into these central situations and still allows Gordon to move in centrally, because then we can get a little bit more pace through the middle and match his pace with Lacroix, for instance. That'll be interesting. And Delanga as well, kind of joining in like that. That could be something, but I think it's going to be more to do with our build-up and maybe from the press as well. So if we look at the press, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat first. Send in your predictions. Good to see people sending in their predictions as well. Contemplate says, win against Palace and we're only 3 points behind Chelsea. If Chelsea lose, I think Chelsea are playing Man City next, right? Big up Man City. Always like Man City. so thanks for the PSG reminder. Don't worry, we've got our whooping too as well. Not from PSG though. We're the only team that don't get whooping from PSG. Adrian says everyone's going to be trying to catch Brentford. Yeah, everyone's going to be trying. Exactly. James says it would likely be Strand Larson that will play a striker on Sunday. Possibly, but I didn't see him in there on the bench for them. So I don't know if he's injured. Is he on the bench? He's not on the bench against Fiorentina. So I wonder if he's injured. Contemplate's gone to 1-0 to Newcastle. Adrian's gone for 2-2 Langa and J7. Excuse me. Bobo says 2-0 Palace, Sarr and Larson, both in the second half after that 70th minute. I come in peace. Big up to you, Wobojog. Adrian says, imagine Palace will be rotating heavily if they can. Plus, they're safe. Change in predictions is Pino for Larson to score. Is Larson fit, though? That's what I want to know. Oh, he was suspended. Yeah. Do they rotate, or do they? If Mateta's in good form and scoring goals, Do you really want to change your goal scorer? That's the other thing. I'm trying to figure out what will be the best approach for Newcastle. I think it's going to be a tough game. I really do. I think it's going to be a tough game. Wharton has the ability to break defensive of his line with his line breaking passes. Um, so I think that's another battle for Joe Linton there. Saar, they like to get men behind the ball. Chow, Botman, Livramento. It's going to be so interesting to see what we do. I think we have to press the life out of them. I really, really do. I wonder what our approach is going to be. Tonali's here. Livramento gets up, adds the width. I think that's going to be very important. It's such a small pitch, and making it big is going to be difficult. I think Hall and Livramento adding width is going to be so key. Allows Bruno to get involved. Maybe Elanga tucks in, or Bruno tucks in with Elanga supporting Livramento, so we can try and create these overlaps here. Kind of working things out here, but they're so disciplined and so good. Palace, it's going to be difficult. The pitch is so difficult. I'm not even sure. It would be good to have Harvey Elliot right now. I'll tell you that. This is why we always beat them at home, because we're able to expand the pitch a bit more. I'm not sure, guys. I do wonder if from the press, I think we can shut them down from the press, but they've got really mobile front three. Guso, Mateta, Saar, Wharton, who at the flick of a dime will spray the ball as quickly to them as possible. Botman doesn't want to be here. So Tonali and or Joe Linton have to watch Saar. That's going to be key. Stopping Wharton's going to be key. But not just stopping players. We actually have to make some inroads. If Woltemade really insists on picking up these spots, even as a striker, Gordon had to take up central areas. We've got to figure out a way to get him involved there. Sorry, guys. I'm like, it's going to be a tough game, guys, honestly. The best way I can see is down the flanks. And I think Hall and Livramento are going to be key in trying to stretch the Palace defense and get in behind them. Livramento versus Mitchell as well down the sides here, getting men in the box. Gordon, Elanga, Woltemade, his movement, he has to get some box movement going on. Oh, guys, I'm stuck. It's going to be a tough game. It really is going to be a tough game. We've got our best midfield and our best back four, but it's in the attacking areas. I feel like it would have to be like a cutback goal. I really do. But Eddie Howe's had time to work with them. Guys, you let me know. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. I'll give you my predictions. I didn't think it was going to be that tough, but it is. I think the best also, obviously, when Munoz bombs up front, the spaces that he leaves in behind, Gordon and Elanga have to be ready. Contemplate says this is going to be another one of those games where the position sits back and hits us in the break. They'll take up a mid block. Palace are really good in that mid block. Wobblejock says Hall will deal with Munoz just fine. It's Mitchell and Guson that will trouble you, in my opinion. I think the opposite. I don't think Guson's that good. And Mitchell typically struggles against us. For me, it's Munoz and Sarr. That side, that's going to be difficult. Contemplate says it will build a new. If we build a new stadium, I wonder if we will intentionally build a pitch as big as possible for like City. Then. Yeah, absolutely. Like Barcelona's pitch as well. Wobodrog says, especially the last few games, Tino seems to zone out and get caught off guard. That's true. Defensively, especially if Wharton gets time on the ball, hits those through balls. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go for a prediction. Set pieces is going to be crucial. This is me more with my heart. I'm gonna go for 1-0 Newcastle. This is more of a heart. This is my heart. Just 1-0 Newcastle. My hope is that how I'm seeing it at the moment is not going to be as it's not going to be as tough and rigid. Eddie Howe has had a lot of time with them on the pitch. Palace have had less time to prepare. Maybe we catch them cold. That's my hope. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Newcastle. But guys, you've been absolutely phenomenal. We've had an extensive conversation about scouting profile of Harvey Elliot. Matching the evolution of him at Liverpool, his profile, talking about Florian Wirtz, talking about Szoboszlai and the benefits of him and the drawbacks and what that could mean for Newcastle, how Newcastle could be, I think, possibly looking at developing their style of play. If they get the likes of Harvey Elliot and Rico Lewis, I have no doubt that where the team is evolving and possibly evolving to a better place as well. So that has been interesting to talk about. We had obviously the match preview for the Palace game. They've just won 3-0 at home to Fiorentina. They're looking like they could win another trophy, like third trophy in like 3 years or something. Incredible. It's going to be a tough game, but Eddie Howe has had time on the pitch with them. I'm expecting energy. I'm expecting movement. I'm expecting intensity from us. I think that might break Palace, hopefully, if we can catch them cold as well. And I've gone for a 1-0 prediction. But I want to thank all of you guys. Some of you, all of you, like your likes, your shares, your chats. The chat is always ringing off. I'm always learning from you guys. I really appreciate you. And hopefully when we meet again on Tuesday, we'll be talking about a victory and a possible Champions League charge. That is the hope. But make sure you guys look after each other and God bless you all. Take care, folks.